Hey everybody, welcome to my Let's Play video for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This game holds a special place in my heart as being my favorite Star Wars game ever made and being my first BioWare game that I ever played, and it introduced to me the way BioWare makes their games in general, with choices and morality mattering in the game itself. In this video, I'll be talking about how I think Knights of the Old Republic pushes the Star Wars license as far as it can go. For the sake of time, I cut out the character creation and will skip through most of the dialogue, and some cutscenes have also been cut out too. Star Wars games released before Knights of the Old Republic were always tied to the movies in some way. In fact, I think the Old Republic series of games are the only Star Wars games ever to not feature images or characters from the movies. Even some games that go beyond the sixth movie, like Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy, have a story that's original from the movies, but still feature characters like Luke and the Stormtroopers. Knights of the Old Republic has none of that, however. The characters and images in Knights of the Old Republic are original and completely unique to the series. Some players might see this as a weakness, because you can't interact with the memorable world that the movies give you. But I feel like it's a strength, because it has its own original world and characters, and the player can still recognize it as Star Wars, even without help from the movies. So it's almost like you're experiencing Star Wars all over again from scratch, but there's a familiarity to it that you know as a fan. The series takes from its source and makes something completely original out of it. New planets, new characters, new villains, and even some different races that we never even saw in the movies. It's not constrained by having to have stuff from the successful movies. The game is successful without those. The only exception I can think to all of this really is that there are lightsabers in the game, which you can't really have Star Wars without lightsabers, and that you visit Tatooine, a planet that's featured in most of the movies. That being said though, the first game in my opinion does take inspiration from the first movie. Like, I kinda think Darth Malak is similar to Darth Vader in many ways as a villain, and appearance-wise. And there's also the Star Forge, which I think is very similar to the Death Star. And not only that, but the player avatar starts as a non-Jedi, but becomes a Jedi later on in the game. Kinda like Luke Skywalker's journey to become a Jedi in the movies. And there's also the ship called the Ebon Hawk that you obtain in the game, which it's similar in name and appearance to the Millennium Falcon. And there's also a memorable twist in the middle of the game involving the main character, just like the fifth movie. These inspirations, whether they are a coincidence or not, do indirectly connect this game to the movies, but I like to think of them as clever nods to the legacy and impact Star Wars had as a whole. But speaking of impact, this game did so many things that licensed games rarely do, especially back in the day. You had to create your own character, which the only other Star Wars games that let you do that are Jedi Academy and Star Wars Galaxies. Back at the time at least. There is the Old Republic, which lets you create your own character, and the sequel to this game too. So again, there's very few Star Wars games that let you create your own unique character. You could also choose if you wanted to be a Sith or a Jedi, which is really impactful, because most Star Wars games focus on one side or the other, like Force Unleashed for instance. It was not only a revolutionary Star Wars game, but a revolutionary game on its own, where the first morality system I had ever seen was put into place. It really made you think your choices really mattered. Depending on your morality, your character's physical appearance would also change, kind of like in the Fable games that I think came later on. So, in conclusion, the reasons I think this game pushes the Star Wars license as far as it goes is because of number one, it doesn't really rely on content or story from the movies to fit into the Star Wars universe. And it's the first game to ever do that. And number two, because of various mechanics implemented into the game that are first for Star Wars games. Examples being the morality system I mentioned earlier, freely choosing to be a Jedi, Sith, and you can even be a little bit of both too if you want. And also physically altering your character to match the side they're on. Thank you guys very much for watching.